What's up, guys? Back with another video. It's been a minute, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of crypto tokens that I'm looking at, that I'm actively buying a bit of, while we're still in this depressed kind of environment as far as crypto, especially altcoins. So the two tokens are actually robotics and AI related, also within the deep in sector, which means decentralized physical infrastructure. And essentially both of them have similar use cases, but slightly different. And again, I'm just kind of diving back into them now. I've been holding them actually for a while, but they definitely have some differences in how they work. But I would recommend that you go do your own research for a deeper look into that, because this video is just going to be about a really, zoomed out understanding of what they are, which is essentially providing distributed spatial data for robots, whether that's drones, whether that's humanoid robots. I believe GEOD in particular, which is GEOD is the ticker symbol, is in particular mostly focused on drones, I believe, for the time being, whereas AUKI is actually a bit more ambitious in its view. It doesn't actually own the data, and essentially that's a feature rather than a bug, because AUKI is essentially pointing to the point that a big issue as we go forward and AI advances and data becomes the new oil is that we have these companies that have so much of your data, so much of the world's data. Do we really want them essentially turning into, like demigods because they have so much data? Or is it better to distribute that data so that it's not owned by any specific corporation? That is one of the main things that AUKI is trying to do. For example, Meta. Every time you put on your Meta glasses, they're gathering data. They're able to use that spatial data to train models, to train robots in the future. Do we really need them owning all of this physical data on top of the data that they have on their social media? It's a little bit scary to think about. So anyways, that's kind of the problem that I think these companies are solving. And not only does it solve this data issue, it solves, it's essentially creating these distributed networks, as Bitcoin has shown, can be much cheaper and much faster and much just easier, with less friction, to build this infrastructure in a decentralized manner. So those are basically the two reasons I'm bullish on these two tokens. Essentially, they're building these decentralized, distributed spatial networks that will feed data to AI and robots. This will be more cheaply, quickly, and with less friction done in a distributed manner than if it were tried to be done in a centralized manner. As well as the data will be distributed rather than owned and accumulated by one party that we all need to trust now, who has demigod power because they have so much data and essentially giving them power. And in the future, predictive, almost like all-knowing power. So yeah, that is my thesis on these two tokens. Again, this is kind of just a zoomed out view of the thesis. I suggest you look deeper into them. Again, the tokens are AUKI and GEOD. So that's GEOD for GEOD, AUKI, AUKI for AUKI. So yeah, if you like the video, leave a like, subscribe. See you guys next video.